Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. A.J. Bernita, Assistant Professor of English, Fatima College, Madurai. In this video, we are going to see a small part in the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. That is, the introduction of the nun in the prologue. So, we have two parts. One is Chaucer's original text written in Middle English, and on the other side you can see the modern English text. So let me first read the Old English text for you and then the modern English text, and then we can see the explanation of it. There was also a nun, a prioress, that of her smiling was full simple and coy. Her greatest oath was but by Saint Loy, and she was clept Madam Eglinton. So the modern English rendition goes like this. There was also a nun, a prioress, whose smile was full simple and modest. Her greatest oath was but by Saint Eligius, and she was called Madam Eglinton. So here we find there was also a nun. This represents the introduction given by Chaucer about the different kinds of pilgrims who are accompanying them. So we find there was also a nun. So he gave the introduction about the friar and the clergy people in before this, and now he has come to the nun, and nuns were also called as a prioress. And we find in the first part itself, we find Chaucer is giving the description, the appearance of the nun. So he says that she is a very simple person who is very simple and modestly dressed, and her greatest oath, that is she has taken an oath that is for her living by Saint Eligius. She is a follower of Saint Eligius by name as well as by her actions. So her name is derived from the saint's name Eligius, and so she was called as Madam Eglinton. So as you can see, so this is the picture of the nun. It's a visualization of how the nun would have appeared in the Middle Ages. So now here we have Saint Eligius. So as the nun's name is derived from the saint, the name of the saint, Saint Eligius, we will just see what is he famous for. So he is a patron. He is known as the patron saint of horses and those who work with them. There is a horse keeper, those who work at the stable, the horse riders. Okay, so he is the patron of saints and those who work with them, and he is also known as the patron saint of goldsmiths and gold workers. And why this is important here is that we find Madam Eglinton also like by name and action she is the same I said. So like Eligius, she is also very fond of horses. So that we will be seeing in the next part. So Chaucer divides his Chaucer's introduction can be divided into various parts. The next part talks about the skills of the nun. So what we can same way read the Middle English text and the modern English text. So full wheel she sung the service divine, in tune in her nose full semele, and French she spake full fair and fettishly. After the school of Stratford at Bow, for French at Paris was to her unknown. At Met well ye thought was she with all. So now we move on to the modern rendition. Full well she sang the service divine, intoning in her nose full seemly, and French she spoke with elegant fluency. After the school of Stratford at Bow, for French of Paris was to her unknown. At the table well taught she as she withal. So we find the nun has a good voice, and whatever songs she sang during the services, the church services, they were very divine. And we find intoning it that is like while we sing, we say that our nose alone, sorry, not only our throat and mouth function, but our nose also align with that. So we find in toning with her now nose, we find her expression, her way of singing, everything was very divine. And the next skill that Chaucer speaks about her is the elegant fluency of French language. Okay, so she is an English person, as well as she has been she has been trained in, like, for after getting her schooling or the basic education at Stratford, at England. She has moved on to France, and she has been taught French at Paris, and we find she is very much very well versed in both these languages. Okay, and then he talks about her table manners. At table well taught was she withal. She was very perfect in her table manners. So now we come to the table manners as well as the other manners of her. So we can move on to the Middle English text. Her over lip what she was so clean, that in her crop there was no farthing sin of grace when she drunken had her draught. Full seemly after her met she wrought, and certainly she was a great despot, and full pleasant and amiable of port, and primed here to counterfeit cheer of court, and being established of manner, and to bend holden diggin of reverence. So now we move on to the next one. She took much pleasure in etiquette. Her upper lip she wiped so clean, that in her cup was no drop seen of grease, when she had drunk her draught. Full politely for her food she reached, and certainly she was a cheerful sort, and full pleasant, nice deportment, and she took pains to reflect the manners of court, and to be stately in her carriage, and to be held worthy of reverence. So Chaucer here talks in detail about her table manners, and he says that she took much pleasure in following all the etiquettes. Usually people will be very snobbish, or when someone says why do you eat like that, they will become angry at what the others are telling. So here we find the nun was not like that. She took pleasure in following the etiquette. So the first thing is she wiped her lip so clean. That is, when we drink, we find something, sometimes some droplets will be sticking onto our upper lip, but she wiped it very pleasantly. And in her cup also there was not any grease. She did not spill, she did not let the drop fall in the outer part of the cup. And then when she is drinking also, she drinks it very silently, and she doesn't make any noise or anything like that. And then when she is eating her food, she reached the food very politely, in the sense she approached it in a very polite form. She did not eat it with eat it in a hurry, eat it in a very slow manner, but in a patient manner. She ate everything very cleanly, and she also cleaned her surface. So this is what politely she reached her food means. And now we come to her countenance. So she was a very cheerful sort. Like usually when we envision some spiritual person, we tend them to be very always strict in all their manners and everything. But unlike them, we find she is a very cheerful sort, and she is fully of pleasantness. She was very pleasant with everyone, and nice deportment. She always carried herself so very nice, as well as she emulated that also in the other people. And then she took pains to reflect the manners of court. Okay, so you have to understand the social condition during Chaucer's period. So we find the nuns were also allowed to go into the court. So we find the court means the king's court. Okay, so we find the nuns, they like here the nun, she reflected the manners of the court. That is, she has been very formal, very neat in everything. And then stately in her carriage. Stately in her carriage means she carried herself in a very dignified manner, like a queen. Like stately means in a modern fashion, but not in the dress, but in the sense that she carried herself in a very beautiful way. And she was held to be worthy of reverence. Whoever sees her, everyone will automatically revere her and give respect to her. So, such was her countenance, and we cannot deny that. Now, we are coming on to again the etiquette. She let no morsel from her lips fall, nor wet her fingers in her sauce tea. Well could she carry a morsel well kept, that no drop fell on her breast. In courtesy was such mushel her list. Okay, so this is also about the etiquette. So here Chaucer tells about how she eats. We first saw how she drank, now how she eats. So she let no morsel from her lips fall. Okay, so no morsel means not even a small particle of what she is eating will fall from her lips. And then nor wet her fingers in her sauce so deep. Like when we have any kind of sauce or something like that, when we dip it, certainly sometimes there will be a drop that's being touching our fingers, or sometimes when we drop it very forcefully, one droplet can come to our fingers. So in any way she did not have like that. Okay, she touched the food in a very gentle manner, and she did not wet her fingers with sauce so deep. That means she was not very greedy to eat with the sauce. As well could she convey a spoonful and take care that no drop fell upon her breast. So even if she is taking a very full spoon, that is the spoon fully, if she is going to eat it, she will never let any drop fall on her breast. That is, they will be covering, but even then they will have one kind of bib like thing, but even then she will never let any kind of thing fall on that clothes or anywhere else. So she takes much care in her etiquette. So now we come to her character. What kind of character is she? So, but for to spoken of her conscience, she was so charitable and so pious, she would weep if that she saw a mouse caught in a trap, if it were dead or bled. Of small hounds had she, that she fed with roasted flesh or milk and wastel bread, and so wept she if one of them were dead, or if men smote it with the yard smart, and all was conscience and tender heart. So he is talking about her character. So, but for to speak of her compassion, she was a very charitable and kind person. So she was not like anyone who is in a different kind of character in the personal life, as well as different from the professional life. But she was a very compassionate person. She was very charitable. She always does charity and was a very very kind person. And how when Chaucer talks about her kindness, he also talks about how much, to what extent she has been kind. So that can be seen in the next 3 lines. That is, she would weep if she saw a mouse caught in a trap. Okay, usually when we see some animals or rodents or some kind of insects which are not good for humans, which will bite us, we will always be hitting them, and we will be killing them also. But we find this nun was very kind, that even if a mouse is caught in a trap, if it is dead or bleeding or any kind of these things happen, she will be crying for them. Okay, and then we find she also had some small hounds that she fed with roasted flesh or milk and fine white bread. Okay, small hounds. I believe that you know what is a hound. It's an animal like a dog. So we find she had small hounds, and she also fed them with some roasted flesh, milk, and white bread. So she is giving everything that the humans eat in a very good manner to these hounds. Okay, so you can see how she is very much compassionate towards the other organisms and other living creatures, but sorely wept if one of them were dead, or if someone beat it with a stick. So if any one of the hounds is dead, she will be very much in crying. She will be crying always. And then even if someone beats the hound, she will be very, she'll not be angry, but she will be very sad, and she will be crying for that. And she was all feeling and tender heart. This is because that she will be having, she has feeling for all kinds of creature. That is, she has compassion, she has sympathy, she has empathy, all kinds of good character she has, good feeling she has. And so we can call her as a tender hearted person. So now Chaucer comes to her appearance. What is her attire? How did she appear to the others? So we can see that full seemingly her wimple pinched was, her nose straight, her eye grey as glass, her mouth full small, and that too soft and green. But sickly she had a fair forehead. It was almost a span broad, I trow, for hardily she was not undergrown. So she has now he is Chaucer is commenting about her appearance. So she is like nuns. You might have seen the pictures, and I have already shown you a picture of the nun that's who's described in Chaucer's tale. So in that we find she is wearing a long kind of gown. So full seemingly her wimple pleated was. Pleated means the skirt, or the gown, the gown that she is wearing, it's well pleated. Okay, it has many pleats, and it's well pleated, well maintained, well ironed. And her nose graceful. Her nose is graceful in the sense it's not crooked, it's not in a different shape. It's a very pleasant way. And her eyes are grey as glass. So the color of her eyes is grey, and it's very clear. And her mouth is small. Her mouth is entirely small, and her lips are soft and red. So these are the things that Chaucer is describing about the nun. And so you can find how beautiful she would have been. But certainly she had a fair forehead, because the nuns, they will be always wearing a very closed attire, and you can see only from here till their face, till this only we can see their face entirely. So other things will be covered. So he says that, so Chaucer is thinking that her forehead may be broad, as well as she might have a fair forehead. Okay, so that is what he thinks, and he is writing. For hardily she was not undergrown. Undergrown means she is not undergrown. Undergrown means not properly eating, or not apt for the age, like that. Okay, so now we move on to the attire. So already we have seen that she wears a gown. So now we are going to see in detail about her attire. So full fetish was her cloak, as I was wore. Small coral about her arm she bore, a pair of beads girdled all with green, and there hung a brooch of goldful sheen, on which there was first write a letter crowned A, and after Amor vincit omnia. So full fetish was her cloak. Full fetish was her cloak means her clothes were very decent. Fetish means decent and modern. Okay, and as I was wore. Okay, as he has seen, of small coral about her arm she bare. So a small coral like thing, a small coral like beads will be there in her arm, this place, and then there will be a pair of beads that are stuck over there in green color. And then we find she wears a kind of brooch. Brooch means which will be wear on the shoulders like this. So we find she has worn a brooch which is golden in color, and in that we find the first letter is written in capital, and after that it is written as Amor vincit omnia, which means love conquers all. Okay, so this is the brooch that she is wearing, which means because of her love she conquers all represents, it's not about loving only one person, it's loving everybody, and because of love she is able to conquer all the good things and the bad things. So this is what her attire refers to. So you can see here the attire, as I told you, you can see only a very small part of her face, and you can see the long thing, and how within this particular space, the face, Chaucer has imagined how she would have her forehead and other things. Okay, and then another picture we have here. So you can see here in this the last person. Okay, so first there is a person who is with the book, and then you have another person who has who is just speaking something like that, and then we have two nuns over there, and the nun that Chaucer is describing is the first person sitting here. Okay, who is wearing white and black clothes, and you can see that particular string being hung over there, and then you can also see small hound that is following her, and you can see she's going on a horse, like as I told you earlier, Saint Eligius is meant for the keeper of horses, and we also find her horse to be a very well kept, and she's taking it, and she is also even taking her hounds along with her for the pilgrimage. So we find how she has been a tender hearted person, how a kind person she is, and how she is a lover of animals and plus the lover of humans, how she is spreading her love to all the people in the same way, in a divine way. Okay, so this is the description of description of the nun in the introduction to this is the introduction of the nun given in the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Hope you all have got a good view about this. We will see in the next video. Thank you.